Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. The DMV is in full dig out mode after the powerful weekend storm that buried the region under more than a half foot of snow and ice. And now the bigger challenge. Dangerous bone-chilling temperatures coupled with wind chills in the single digits. Will the Arctic blast complicate the cleanup efforts while raising serious safety concerns on the roads and the sidewalks? Well, tonight we'll hear from officials from across the region about progress, timelines, road conditions, improvement, and what residents should know about staying safe while driving, shoveling, allowing kids to play outdoors. We're beginning tonight with Aisha Braveboy, Prince George's County Executive. Madam County Executive, thank you so much for joining me. You are right now, as we are talking, you are in a snowplow truck, I'm assuming?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's County Executive Aisha Braveboy reporting live from the street.
The snowplow.
Right, exactly. So, what are you seeing?
So I see great progress. We have done a tremendous job in getting our primary and secondary roads cleared. We actually started clearing residential areas last night. And let me just say that this is a huge difference between now and a year ago. A year ago, I was not county executive. I was sitting at home, just like many of you, wondering when I was going to be able to get out. This year, as county executive, I focused on making sure we were prepared. I can tell you that last year, it took 4 days from the end of precipitation for us to get to residential streets. Precipitation ended last night. We were already in some residential neighborhoods. So this is a much better and quicker response than we've had in the past. And I'm happy that we've been able to set up a unified command center to really address any issues that our residents may have. So primary and secondary roads are good. And now we're focusing on residential neighborhoods.
Let me ask you about salt supplies. Certainly, across the state, there have always been questions. Do municipalities, local governments have enough salt supply? Because although we're not expecting any more snow, but it's still going to be cold and
Yes.
streets are going to be icy.
Yes. We are prepared. Sorry. We started procuring.
That's okay. I mean, you're in a truck. I understand. You started off saying that you are prepared. Please continue.
We are prepared. We have enough of the salt mixture. So we started again this summer procuring salt. We also procured more drivers and vehicles. Last year, there was about 260 vehicles assisting with snow removal. This year, we have over 380. So we increased the number of crews we could put out on the streets and the responses in our neighborhoods. So I'm telling you, this year, Prince George's County is actually leading. We're actually leading in response in this region to the snowstorm Fern. And I'm very proud of the work we've done.
Can we talk a little about closures, government and school closures? Where are we with the county government and closures for tomorrow and the rest of the week?
So county government was closed today, again, to allow our crews to really get to those residential streets. The more people are off the roads, the more these work trucks can get through. So that's very important. We're going to make a decision later today about the government operations tomorrow. With schools, it's a little different because our school children, many of them walk to school, and because of the freezing temperatures, we're concerned about sidewalks. So we're going to work with the school system. Once we're done with the residential roads, we're going to be working with our school system to clear off those sidewalks, excuse me. And so our school system is going to have to make some different types of decisions based on safety for our students, as well as they've got to clear off over 200 school parking lots. So it's a lot of work for them, as well as bus lots. So they've got a lot of work to do. They're helping us now. We're going to help them once we're done with the streets and the residential communities. But we've made great progress. We're certainly ahead of schedule based on what happened certainly last year, and we're looking forward to working with our school system to get schools back up and running as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at, and this is coming from the Prince George's County Council, I believe, or maybe it's the school system. These things are fluid. It's my understanding that they're going to close schools Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which kind of goes along with what you're saying because of the diversity of travel in Prince George's County and safety. So that does make sense.
Yeah, safety is the priority. Safety is the priority. So again, we're going to work with our school system. Again, if you were traveling like I can see where the work has been done. I mean, we have a lot of work that's been done inside residential communities as well. In fact, I'm on a street now, a county street inside of a neighborhood, and I can see that our crews have been through here a couple times because it's pretty clear. I can see the pavement. So, yeah, we're working hard, and this Marcus here. He's doing all the work here. And we're grateful for him and the other men and women who've been out here day and night to assist us.
If someone sees that their street has not been plowed, how do they let the county know?
So starting at midnight tonight, because again, we ask that folks don't use the 311 system until 24 hours after precipitation stops. Precipitation stopped at midnight yesterday. So we're asking people to not call until midnight tonight or use the 311 system because again, we are clearing out residential communities. So there are roofs that are being worked on now. And so we want to make sure that people aren't unnecessarily calling us. If we're going to get to their street, we're going to get to their street. Yeah.
Final question, and I'm sure you've been watching the news in reference to power outages in southern states. We haven't heard of any major power outages in our region, but there are, I'm assuming, warming centers as there always are in the county.
Yes, there are warming centers. We have 6 warming centers. 3 are at hotels, and those hotels, people can stay overnight as well. So they serve as shelters. We've sheltered about 24 individuals and families so far. So we do have capacity for more. So if anyone is interested, they can go to www.mypgc.com/winter weather. www.mypgc.com/winter weather, and all of those resources are there. They can also call 311 to get that information as well. So we're really prepared again to help people get through this storm. The other thing that we've been able to do, and I'm so proud that we've been able to do this, is set up a program for our seniors and those with a limited mobility. It's called Operation Silver Shovel. And we have contractors that will go out to assist individuals who are 70 plus or individuals who have mobility issues or some type of disability. We can assist them with clearing their walkways, driveways, and steps so that they can move about safely. So I'm really excited. For the first time as county government, we're able to do this, and it makes me feel really good as the county executive to show that we are a compassionate government and we don't want people out there unnecessarily, possibly hurting themselves or getting, frozen because they're trying to move not just snow, but ice. These are severe weather conditions as well. It's really cold outside. The temperature is going to be cold and below freezing. It's going to be in single digits tonight. So a lot of what you're seeing outside is going to freeze over. And that's why we're working around the clock to try to get the snow off the road and get our roads as safe as possible.
Well, Prince George's County Executive Aisha Braveboy, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
spending some time with us. Certainly, if you decide to leave politics, who knows? We can pick you up as a live on the scene reporter. So I really appreciate your time.
So
Certainly,
happy to assist.
yes, absolutely, and
And
be
look,
safe.
and I've got Council Chair Oriana in the back.
Hey, how are you? How are you? Yes, we did
And I
speak
think
last. We
we're
spoke
close to
last
her
week.
communities right now, so she's excited. We're about to hit Central Avenue.
Well, wherever you find yourself in the county, please make sure that you are safe. Thank you again. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank
All right.
you. Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Okay, joining me now to talk about what's happening in the district is Sharon Kirschbaum. She is the director of the DC Department of Transportation. Sharon, thank you so much for joining the conversation. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Harold. Happy to be here.
Sure thing. Can you kind of give me an overview of road conditions in DC today? Scale of perhaps 1 to 10, with 10 being the best. Where is the district?
It should be an easy question, but I'm going to say we have a big range. So today is Monday. The precipitation really just stopped last night. So we did have one overnight of being able to clear the roads without new precipitation falling. Our major arterials, they look really good. We have blacktop. In many cases, we have more than one lanes available. And that's really where we put all of our effort early on. But now we need to start focusing on the residential roads and the local roads. I would say we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and certainly that's not unusual. This is a unique winter storm. We've had snow, we've had sleet, we've had some freezing rain, and the like. So when it comes to that, and of course, these really, really cold temperatures, we haven't seen cold temperatures like this in a really, really long time. And they are expected to continue for the next several days. With that in mind, what is the strategy for the district to address it?
Yeah. So, and this is definitely a process. Early on, we spend a lot of time pre-treating the roads. And that means first, even before we put down salt, we put down a brine. And our brine includes beet juice. So it's a saline solution with beet juice. And the beet juice is sticky. It makes it more adhesive to the roads, but it also freezes at much lower temperatures than salt does. So what that means is that when we get now to the point where we've started pushing snow, but we have some snow on the bottom, it's actually not freezing as much as it would have otherwise. So we get sort of more of a slushy material, and that's kind of the ideal because that means that it's not turning to ice, and it allows us to keep pushing. So brine for pre-treatment, put down salt, then we just start pushing when we get 2 inches. And we're still in that phase of just pushing the snow. Arterials are done, local roads we're still not focused on. The next step is going to have to be hauling the snow out. So if you look at prior storms in DC for the past few years, we've been really lucky because the temperatures have been warm enough that by the third day, even if there's a lot of snow on the banks, it is warm enough that things are melting on its own. Right now, we are not going to get that kind of melting. And so we're just going to have to bring in some trucks. We're going to have to haul it out. We'll start that operation tomorrow. And that's really what we're going to need to do to try to keep the roads cleared, because otherwise they're just going to stay on the sidewalk. And for the more residential roads, we just have nowhere to put it.
Yeah, this certainly probably isn't your wheelhouse, but any thoughts on the possibility of the district opening back up perhaps tomorrow? Obviously, the mayor would have the final word on that.
And she has not made the call yet, so I don't want to speculate. We have done a great job. I know a lot of the police and fire stations all have been cleared. it's the Department of General Services that really does the DC facilities, and they've been crushing it. So many of the schools, the walkways are done. But we also need to consider that people still need to get there. And if our streets aren't fully clear and the sidewalks aren't clear, it means that we've got more vehicles out when we're trying to get plows through. It means people are walking in the streets, which is unsafe. So she's got to consider all the different factors.
Before I let you go, any final thoughts, anything that you believe from your vantage point people in the district need to know?
I know people have been hearing this from the beginning, but they need to focus on shoveling their walks. I tell folks, if you've got a teenager, tell them to put the phone down and grab a shovel. If the walks aren't cleared, people are walking in the street. And I have seen it all over the city. Even if it's light out and you're visible, when the roads are slick, if you're walking in the street, it is so dangerous. And so we need those sidewalks open and get people out of the roads.
Sharon Kirschbaum, DC Department of Transportation Director, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Harold. Stay safe, stay warm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
You too. We're going to take a quick break, but don't forget you can hear this in every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The Original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is coming up next on WHUR-FM. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We continue our conversation about the snow emergency going on across the DMV. We are interviewing officials from across the region to make sure that you and yours are safe. Okay, so joining me now is Oluche Olubenle. She is the Deputy Director of the Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation. As you know, we spoke with the county executive earlier, and she was out in a salt truck, plow truck, what have you, just kind of giving us the lay of the land. If you could give me kind of that view from 30,000 feet in the county. We know that schools and offices are going to be closed tomorrow. We know that schools are actually going to be closed for the rest of the week up until at least Friday. But that's not the case for your crews. What's the plan for overnight and tomorrow morning?
Well, thank you for having me, Harold. So we are in our fourth operation. We're running 12-hour shifts. We have over 300 people in this operation. We've been working since Saturday, and we plan for snow throughout the year. So we're ready for this. We're actually excited. We got to 100%, nearly 100% passable on our primary roads. If you recall last year, a lot of people are reminding us about the challenges of January storm. And it took us several days before we could get into the residential streets. But I'm happy to report that all of our residential routes are covered. And what I mean by that is they have been assigned operator trucks. So we've been running residential streets and taking advantage of the sun that we have. It's going up to about 28 degrees, so still below freezing, but we're happy to see it increase to that number because it's going to hit in the single digits for the rest of this week on the lows.
When you talk to crews in the field, what kind of issues or difficulties are they encountering?
Right. So a lot of, for those, the emergency vehicles and operators that have to go out, again, we're stressing people to stay home. But if they come out of their house and they start, plowing their driveways, they will see icy conditions. So a lot of our operators are dealing with those challenges in some areas. For example, in North County, where you have hilly areas, it's quite difficult to go up and down and make sure we service those roads. But the other thing we really tried to stress was the parking. And so we are still, we're working as best as we can. Sometimes you'll have an operator that's like a 6-wheel heavy truck that tries to go down, and then it realizes, wait, there are cars on both sides. So we actually can't fit down. They have to turn back. We have to bring out a 4x4 1-ton truck and try to get through those residentials and curve as much as possible. We also have cul-de-sacs, right? And so given the amount of snow accumulation, sometimes we're able to push it in areas that don't block cars or driveways. And other times we have to go call our more experienced construction contractors that we were able to resource thanks to the county executive for expanding contractor assets in this winter event. We were able to bring in those loaders and backhoes to remove that snow to appropriate areas.
I think the other important thing when you're talking about, more narrow streets or some of the vehicles, some of the plow trucks that try to get through, and you've got cars. If somebody's car is scraped or hit, or, how should someone handle that?
That's a great question. So we do have PGC 311 opening up tomorrow morning. We do want to hear about those type of issues. If there is a car or if there is some damage or need during this winter event, we're asking residents to report this in PGC 311. We did want them to wait 24 hours. The snow stopped yesterday. And so 311 opens up tomorrow morning and they can report that either in the snow category, if it is related to the snow, or if it is an emergency, there also is a roadway emergency category that they can enter.
Okay, and I think that's really, important, because we know these things do happen no matter how much care is taken. When you're talking about specific icy conditions, how difficult does that make the job of the drivers? Because I know we've seen residents outside kind of chopping away at the ice and the like, and these are some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in our greater region in many, many years.
Right. So the good thing about this winter event that's different from last year is that we're at least seeing temperatures go above 20 degrees. The rock salt that we primarily have, we had over 35,000 tons available at the beginning of this. It is to some degree, successful. We can use it if it is above 20 degrees. If it is below 20 degrees, one of the lessons learned was to acquire what's called specialized salt or sweet mix. It's a mixture of beet juice and magnesium chloride. And so we actually pre-treated some of those areas, particularly, like I mentioned before, the hills and the cold spots. And some areas in South County that we had challenges with last year. And so we still have about 480 tons of that. We want to be mindful of how much we use, because we know, for example, that there may be potential for additional inclement weather this weekend. And so we're going to be strategic about how we use that, particularly when the temperatures go down into the single digits. But for now, we're using our rock salt pre-treating where we can, crushing up that ice, using the sun, working with the sun when it comes out, and then, bracing for the low temperatures that are going to happen the rest of this week.
What are you using on the sidewalk and walkway at your house?
At my house, well, my husband is taking care of my house right now while I work these 12-hour shifts here in Forestville. But, again, residents can use the salt that they have available. Hopefully they already, got that salt way ahead of time. We're encouraging residents to stay at home as much as possible. But the county executive is launching, and I'm sure she has mentioned it, the Silver Shovel program that will be available, yes, to seniors. And so that is another option available for our senior citizens who need it.
Well, the reason I asked what was going on at your home is because I was hoping that there was some magical special
Oh no.
sauce that that you know about.
I no regular citizen. We are all using the same resources available.
I do appreciate that. I think final question
Sure.
For you. What is it that you really want residents to know to make this go as smoothly as possible?
Yes, wonderful question. I want to stress and emphasize the need to manage expectations and to be patient. We overall want people to be safe, and we want to avoid unnecessary accidents and incidents. And so, if residents can stay home, we are advising them to do so only if they must travel. We are asking that they exercise caution. But again, as people start to put in requests for 311, there are different definitions for what's passable, what's bare pavement, and what's complete. And we have that information on our website, and we have it with pictures so it's clear. Our first goal, of course, was the primaries, and we're in residentials, and the goal was for it to be passable. Now we're moving into bare pavement for our primary roads. And when we say bare pavement, you start to see more of the asphalt on the ground. For residentials, our goal right now is passable. We want everyone to at least be able to come out of their house. Now, that means it's still snow covered. There's still spots that have ice on it for the most part, but passable means there have been a number of passes that have gone on that street. And so if they ever have questions about that, pgctracksnow.com, they can check and track the AVL. They can track where the trucks are to see the number of passes, when it has been serviced within the last 8 hours. And if they have any issues there, then they can report it into 311.
It's fascinating. I don't think I've had any municipal expert in this regard really share the details of what is passable versus not passable, et cetera. So I think that's really, really good information to know. I think a lot of people would certainly like to hear that. Oluche Olubinle, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate your time. Of course, you are the Deputy Director of the Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation. Be safe as you work to move through this weather situation that we're dealing with right now.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher, for getting the word out. It's really important. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Joining me now is Regina Ali, Manager of Public and Government Affairs for AAA Mid-Atlantic. Regina, thanks for joining the conversation. I am quite sure that you and your team have been extremely busy responding to all kinds of issues. What are they seeing on the roadways?
Sure. So at AAA, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and hope your listeners are out there being safe. But you are absolutely right. It has been a very busy time for AAA. So yesterday on Sunday, in the sort of DMV area, we came to the rescue of more than nearly 1,100 people. So Maryland, DC, and Virginia, the AAA Mid-Atlantic portion of Virginia. So that includes parts beyond Northern Virginia as well. And yesterday, what we were seeing for those people who obviously did not stay in and for whatever reason were on the roadways, the vast majority of our calls yesterday were for people who had become stuck at the side of the road or stuck in snow and needed to be pulled out. So that was yesterday. What I will say is, in addition to the fact that those being who were on the roads needing help needed to be basically rescued or extricated from the snow, we did see that our numbers were down significantly yesterday, to suggest that for the most part, people were obviously heeding the advice of officials and staying off the roadway. Certainly, everyone doesn't have the luxury to stay home if it's snowing. Many, first responders, healthcare professionals, many people have very important jobs that help keep the rest of us safe, that require them to be out. So obviously, AAA is more than happy and here and willing to serve our members as need be. That being said, today, our numbers at midday are already higher than they were all day yesterday. So we've at AAA come to the rescue of nearly 1,200 people midday today throughout Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And today, while we're still getting a lot of calls for people who are stuck because still the roads are having some issues throughout the region. A lot of our calls are for that, and then followed by battery related calls, which is certainly no surprise for us because, with these reduced temperatures and them continuing to plummet, it's cold outside, and we always see increased calls for batteries and tires during the winter months, and certainly that is bearing out.
Can you talk to me briefly about some of the rights and wrongs that some drivers are doing? And batteries, you mentioned one thing, but now we are seeing so many more electric cars when you talk about batteries, real big batteries, and I'm sure that's an issue as well.
Sure. So yeah, certainly electric cars, we tell people make sure that your battery's charged. If you can keep it in a garage, obviously that would be ideal. But certainly that's a concern for folks with electric cars. That being said, we always, before the storm, we were very out, AAA was out very proactively trying to remind drivers your tires, your tire pressure, your tire depth. These are things, even as the temperature drop, you'll see that little designation on your light on your dashboard. It looks like a little horseshoe saying that your tire pressure is down, which typically happens as temperatures go down. So we know that's always a factor. In a regular battery operated car, traditional lifespan for a battery is somewhere between 3 and 5 years. So that we're telling people, if your battery is old, if it's older than 5 years, it's probably getting close to outliving its life expectancy, particularly if you're seeing that it's slow to turn over. So those were the big things that we tried to remind people of. And again, we think that for the most part, people tried to do the right thing, but it's important to remember now that people will probably start trying to head out. Again, many of the roads are still very slippery, especially the secondary roads and streets. So be mindful of that. But we want to remind people, if you have to head out, again, the roads are still very slick. It's not particularly warm, so it's not like they're really melting much. But to make sure that you're clearing your car of snow and ice. I know you've probably been on the road, Harold, just like me, and you're driving, and all of a sudden, this huge chunk of snow or ice falls off of either a truck or a vehicle in front of you. That is very, very dangerous. It can obviously obscure the vision or obstruct the vision of a driver behind you or beside you. So at AAA, we can't reiterate that enough, the importance of clearing your car completely, the windshield, the roof of the car, the hood of the car, the light, so that not only are you being seen, but that other drivers can see you, and that the snow and ice on your car isn't going to blow off onto another car and obstruct someone else's vision or view, causing them to perhaps have a crash.
Regina, before I let you go, if you could share with everyone what you would put in your winter car survival kit to keep in the car during the season.
Sure, absolutely. So, and it's a little bit different in the winter than in the summer, as we always say, make sure you have things to keep you warm should you become disabled at the roadside. So that's gloves, that's a blanket, that's a snow shovel, flashlight, an ice scraper with a brush. I always tell people, when we know the storm is coming, don't leave your ice scraper in the car and then you can't get to it. But you do want to have one in your emergency road kit. You want to have a reflective vest, some of the warning devices, whether it's flares or reflective triangles. You want to make sure that you have drinking water and some non-perishable snacks, granola bars, things of that nature. You also want to have some sort of an abrasive material. As I indicated, the majority of our calls at AAA over the last day or so have been for extrications, people that have become stuck on the snow and or ice. So you want to have some sort of abrasive material for the snow for traction, whether that's kitty litter or salt or sand.
Regina Arlee, it is always good to see you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing the safety tips that so many of us need, because it's not over. It's going to be a rough week, and we still have quite some time before the winter is over.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. Be safe and stay warm.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich. Mr. County Executive, thank you so much for joining the conversation during this weather emergency that we are experiencing.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Hanging in there. Thank you so much for asking. Let me ask you, give me kind of an overview of where Montgomery County is right now, scale of 1 to 10. Um, how would you say the road clear up is going?
I'd say objectively speaking, I think we're probably around the 7 or an 8, only because the difficulty getting into neighborhoods. So they've done the primaries. We've done 2 passes on the primaries, and we started in the neighborhoods. The ice is a real problem. Everybody I'm talking to is talking about they're going out there and trying to shovel, and what they're hitting is bricks of ice, not snow. And so that problem with the sleet piling on top of the snow we got is really going to make this more difficult than it should be. Hard for people to shovel out. We've told people you've got to change the side of the street you're on. It's hard to shovel out of the hole you're in if you're on the side of the street where you have to move your car to the other side of the street. So this is, at the neighborhood level, this is going to be kind of a slow slog because, our plows cannot get your car out from under the snow if you're locked in there, and if you're frozen in there, that's not something a plow can do. So if you're not able to do it, it's going to slow down the progress of the plows. They'll go between the cars, but it's hard for them to get a full shot at the street. So we're hoping that people have a little bit more success, but the temperatures aren't good.
Yeah, and it's going to get even colder later this week.
Yep.
With that said, I spoke with Prince George's County earlier today about their school closings and their county government closings. Do you have any news that you can share about the county government in Montgomery County and the schools?
So my folks haven't I don't think they've made a decision, at least as of an hour ago, what they were going to do tomorrow. And schools have not made a call that I know of. Please see if there's anything. Public schools are closed Tuesday. That is true. County's going to make a decision later today. So that's going to be hard for me to see how they're going to get or expect people to drive in if we don't expect to get through all the neighborhood streets until tomorrow with our first pass. So I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up closing, but schools are definitely down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that go for another day.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now, if residents in the county have issues with their streets, how do they report?
They can do 2 things. They can call 311, and that's one way of reaching out to us. And online, they can go to www.mc311.com, and they can also go to montgomerycountymd.gov/snow/status.html. So they've got different ways they can get in and tune into what we're doing, and that should be able to help them.
Mm-hmm. We haven't seen the kind of power outages that we're seeing in the southern parts of the country, but certainly there is a chance that could happen. Are there warming centers in the county, and do you have any other emergency concerns you can share?
So we have our winter emergency shelters open with available space, and if there were a major heating failure or power outage, our emergency management team would work to set up temporary shelters as needed. That thing you pointed out about the power outages, that's a big deal, because everybody was certain that we were going to get a break on the snow, but we were going to pay for it with the ice. But for whatever reason, not enough ice landed to knock the wires down. And I don't think at this point, unless it snows or ices some more, I wouldn't see, a sudden loss of some of these, power lines. I think Pepco was reporting no outages. I can't think of the last time we had a storm where Pepco reported no outages. So I'm a little bit relieved in this moment.
Definitely keeping fingers crossed there. Before I let you go, I do have another off-topic question that I want to ask you about, if you don't mind. Certainly you are aware of the latest deadly shooting by ICE agents in.
You mean murder?
Well,
yeah, it's a murder.
Yeah. To that point, as you are also aware, last week the county council had a press conference relating to two bills that are targeting the operations of ICE agents.
Yep.
One of them specifically dealing with masking, but the other one that is saying that agents will not be allowed to congregate in county owned or managed parking lots, facilities, buildings, etc. My
Right.
first question to you is: first of all, how might that be enforced if these bills pass?
I'll just say that is the issue, because they're going to say it's unenforceable. And I anticipate, if anything, it goes to court. I do not see Montgomery County Police trying to arrest ICE agents who won't take their masks off or who won't move their cars. And so if we wind up in a situation where they're not following the law, then we'll probably wind up in court to see if we can get a judge to order it be enforced. We don't view this as the precursor of a confrontation. And we certainly don't, it's not a confrontation you'd win.
And I think that was my second question, because that would really pit Montgomery County Police against federal agents, and
Yep.
what that portends doesn't necessarily it quite possibly may not end well.
No, and I think they've demonstrated that they have no respect for the law in the first place, and I have no confidence that ICE would behave appropriately, and I don't want to put our officers at risk of dealing with people who think they're above the law and are carrying guns. They've already demonstrated that they'll shoot people just because they feel like it. That execution in Minnesota was astounding, because this guy's on the ground, he's subdued, he's under control, and the guy just walks up and shoots him, and then somebody else pumps in more bullets. It's disgusting, and it's murder. And if those folks think that's the norm, and the president has kind of normalized this, that you sort of you ask for it if you protest. And this last one, they said he had a gun. This is the same president who said people in DC can carry their guns openly now. So tell me how anything he does is consistent from one moment to the next, let alone legal.
Well, Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, not only to talk about that issue, but also to talk about this weather emergency that not only Montgomery County is experiencing, but region-wide.
Yep.
So thank you for your time, sir. Stay safe, stay warm. We will certainly be in touch.
Hey, thank you as always.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that is the Daily Drum for this Monday, January 26th. I'm Harold Fisher. Good night and be safe.